right, let's call the meeting to order. Roll call. Let the record reflect that all commissioners are here. Also, like to acknowledge our school board member, Deb Chubb, and our council liaison, Angie Nelson Dyke. Okay, approval of minutes.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 13th meeting as presented. Second.
Motion second, do we approve the minutes of the January 13th meeting, the executive and the regular meeting? Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of claims.
This is a Development Redevelopment claims docket for February 10th, 2020, revised 2/10/20. Alan Saranac, Redevelopment Operating Fund is Alan Saranac, the Great American Financial, Indiana Public Employees Retirement Fund, Harbor Trust Investment. Out of the North TIF Fund, we have 113 York OZ Fund, LLC, August Mack, Hassan Associates, Indiana Department of Transportation, Neighborhood Capital Institute, Plews, Shadley, Ratcher, and Braun, Plews, Shadley, Ratcher, and Braun again, Reith Riley, SCB for Transition Services, Simplifile, and Alan Saranac. From the South TIF District, we have the Marquette, or Ameriplex Marquette, Applied Ecological Services, D&M Excavating, Reith Riley, U.S. Bank 2011, Elston Grove Bond, U.S. Bank, U.S. Bank 2018 Ohio Street Bond as the Sanitary District, U.S. Bank Requisition 28. That's it.
Any questions on the claims? Skylar, what are the Ameriplex Marquette option payments? Are you familiar with it?
Yes, please.
When we entered into the project agreement with the Holiday Corporation for the shell buildings out on Cleveland Ave, there was also a guarantee in there for occupancy, and so that would be our occupancy payments for any part that was vacant in the building for those August through November. So somehow somebody lost those. Debbie says me, I say her. Never mind. But somebody lost those. They were submitted last month, but for some reason they didn't get before you, so it's just catching up on where we were from 2019.
How long is that?
In 2020, we moved to our last year, I think, from the agreement, but that goes to the lowest part, and I think the cap on that, I want to say, is $25,000, but I can double check on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion to approve the claims.
Motion to approve claims. Docket for February 10th.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the claims on the docket of February 10th. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Financial report.
This is the Michigan City Department of Redevelopment balance sheet for 12/31/2019. Forward. This is tonight, actually, right?
No, it's
12/31/2019. As of that date, cash in the operating account is $186,994.14. Southside TIF account is $6,504,628.34. Southside TIF debt revenue reserve. Southside TIF debt reserve account $336,265.24. Southside TIF capital account is $17,543.91. And north end TIF account is $3,218,717.95. The Wabash Street Streetscape construction is $122,267.66. The Wabash Streetscape debt reserve is $216,018.58. The Northeast TIF account, $260,775.01. Loans receivable, loan to the East Side TIF from operating account is $21,028.49. The County Business Loan Fund is $133,333. Total assets, $11,017,572.37.
All right, any questions of Skylar on the balance sheet? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the financial statements as presented as of December 31st, 2019. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. The US 12 Bridge Project. Skylar?
Hello, good evening. I do believe Mr. Chris Murphy is here to help us out as well, if we need him. Actually, why don't we just have you come up to the front and kind of lead us through this. You've been involved in it the longest. I kind of came in at the tail end. You all received the insignias, the digital insignias, these right here last time. I know we approved a change order last time for some lights. This would have to probably come through as a change order as well if we choose to do this, but I didn't know what the thought of the commission was, and just kind of, do we want to do it at a later time? Just the thoughts of where we're at with it. So, and Chris can kind of give us the background.
Sure. Discussion several months ago as we put together the aesthetic elements that are included in the cost that Michigan City is providing toward the improvements, reconstruction of this bridge deck. There is pedestrian railing on either side of the bridge. On the one side, there is a 10-foot multi-use path width on the north side of the bridge. On the south side of the bridge is more of a 6-foot sidewalk width. Those non-vehicle use areas, pedestrian, cycle, are separated from traffic by a crash wall that, as you may recall the details of that. I'm Chris Murphy with Structure Point. I forgot to say that when I started. The crash wall will be 18 inches of concrete with pipe tubing guardrail above it, so you'll be able to see through it to enjoy the view as you drive over the bridge, which the current rail has never been able to provide. So the pipe railing that we're showing that at the edge of the bridge that keeps the pedestrians and the cyclists safe, it's just a standard pipe railing with a spacing appropriate for pedestrian safety railing, so the kids can't squeeze through it, and it's high enough for cyclists to use that facility also. So it's fairly generic. So the discussion was, are there ways to enhance that pipe railing to give it more of a personal character with the location in the city of Michigan City at that site over Trail Creek? So we at Structure Point came up with some ideas. There was previous discussion that it wouldn't necessarily be an element that was included in every panel of the railing, but maybe in the four corners at the end of the bridge, or maybe some intermittent spacing of the railing throughout the length of the structure. And that's kind of where it was left off. So Structure Point came up with several ideas. Some more involved than others. As you might expect, there are generally two ways to mount these elements to the railing. One is to have the element fabricated within the pipe railing of the pedestrian railing, which is very much an involved fabricated process. There's also, we can detail an emblem or a decorative element that can bolt to the finished pipe railing, so that it would, two things. One, it could be removed and replaced in the future if we wanted to change out the element for a different circumstance in the future, or just for variety. And two, it wouldn't be as costly as actually fabricating something within the metal railing. This would just bolt to the standard railing after the improvement was fabricated. So that's kind of where we left it. Structure Point provided some ideas on different approaches to aesthetic elements for your consideration, and it's probably, we're getting down to the time frame in the construction where we need to give NDOT and their contractors some direction on how we want to approach it, so that they can go ahead and make the appropriate orders. And lead time, as you might expect, these elements will probably have some lead time associated with it to get the particular details that you would want included.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand the outer concrete barriers. Those are like Jersey barriers now. Those are going to be gone?
Yes.
Okay, so that's just going to be a railing through there, and you'll be able to see all the way.
Well, there'll actually be 4 railings. There'll be between the traffic lanes and the sidewalk and the multi-use path will be a crash railing that consists of 18 inches of concrete, and on top of that, crash tested metal railing elements, steel railing elements, which will provide a see-through for drivers as they drive over the bridge. And then the pedestrian bicycle railings on the outside of the bridge itself to protect pedestrians and bicyclists from actually going over the edge of the bridge.
Okay, is there any fencing or anything on top of that railing? Like I've seen at some bridges going over railroad passes, typically they put a fence up.
Yes, and no, there will not.
Okay.
Typically, those railroad bridges, that's a requirement of the railroad to prevent people from throwing something out of the car onto a train. So it wouldn't be required here. At least wouldn't be required by the railroads. If it was something that you'd want, it could be provided, but NDOT won't require that over a navigable waterway.
I guess I'm also concerned about if we put something on that railing, you're not really going to see it as you're driving by. You know, you're kind of looking off to the side there as you're driving forward.
You won't be able to see. The view will mostly be from the pedestrian bicycle users and those underneath the bridge, on boaters and any pedestrians down there. Driving across the bridge, you probably won't have much of a view of it.
Yeah, I have another question.
Sure.
We approved the lights at the last meeting.
Correct.
How often are those lights going to be stationed or positioned? Because it might be a good idea to put a banner on the lights to make it something you could see.
That could be appropriate. I don't recall the exact numbers, but my recollection, there may be a half a dozen lights on the bridge itself, and then the balance of I think there were 30 altogether, lights. The balance of the lights extend down the embankment, the approaches to the bridge, generally to the intersections on the east side of the bridge, the Blue Chip and Center Street intersection, and then the Michigan Boulevard intersection on the west side of the bridge.
Could these be added after the fact?
Bolt on?
Yeah.
Could, yes.
Chris, have you guys, I think this is an interesting idea. It's an interesting way that we can display some of the things that are historic in Michigan City. So I think it's really interesting, great idea. Have you guys put any cost to this yet?
Not definitively, no.
Okay.
Only that if we fabricate something within the railing itself as opposed to bolting on, it'll definitely be more expensive to fabricate something into the railing itself. Yeah, and then we had a discussion, well, what if you just fabricated a 2-foot diameter ring
Right.
in the railing,
Yep.
and then had a bolt on that could go inside the ring that you could change out for, well, yeah, we could do it that way also. We just have to make sure that if there is no element in that ring, or whatever element we put in that ring, still has to meet the appropriate spacing requirements for safety. In other words, a 2-foot hole could, if left open, could be big enough for a kid to maneuver through.
You mentioned the time frame. What is the drop dead date on something like this?
That's a good question. I don't really know till we I guess have some further thoughts on what we want to pursue. One thing, I guess 2 things to keep in mind. The railings are typically last to be installed, but they're also a long lead time in fabrication. And then when I say last to be installed, phase 1 of the project will be completed before they even start phase 2. So the railing that'll be included with the construction of phase 1 probably happens sometime, I would say, July. And then the phase 2 railing would probably be one of the last things added to the project sometime in October or so, November maybe. And then again, it depends on, if we just want to do 4 panels, 1 at each corner of the bridge, then the fabrication isn't as involved. If we want to include a ring that's fabricated within the railing elements, but it's the same ring size wherever we use it, and then we'll change out the actual inside of the ring. That becomes fairly standard. They'll develop that each fabricated item. If we want to do kind of a different element at each location, that involves even more fabrication and long time.
So Chris, going back real quick.
Sure.
Thank you, because so you could design the railing, and we could then come in after the fact and say, hey, we want to put these bolted on there, or we could do circular ring. That would be more sturdy or not?
I don't think it would necessarily be more sturdy. It would provide a more definitive location as to where you would install your emblem or aesthetic element. The advantage of the bolt-on is especially if it's designed to bolt on it to the standard railing system, is you could decide that maybe you only want 4 now and bolt those on, but maybe we add more in the future. As long as they bolt on to the standard railing element, you could put in as many as you wanted in as many panels as you wanted.
So I guess I'd be in favor of trying to at least get an idea of some cost.
Okay.
Probably of bolted, and also if there was the inset was already there, just to get an idea so that we can make an educated decision. I think it adds another dimension to what we're trying to do with the bridge and with Michigan City, and
Sure.
There's lots of historical things that we can look at and think about. So I think my preference would be that we would, or my recommendation would be that we would ask you guys to go back and give us some idea of fabrication costs and those things, so we can get to the next step and give you some definitive answers moving forward.
I can have something available at the next meeting.
Could you distribute it prior to that
Yeah, I will.
so we can get it out?
Right.
Get your comments on it. Move forward from there. Okay. Any other comments or questions for Chris?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, the former memorial site. Is there an update on that, Alan?
Only update is, I think I've shared this with a little bit of with you previously. I did talk to Tim Smith today, and he indicated that their group met on Friday. They're still putting together the final draft, I guess, of what their final plans will look like so that we can begin negotiations, but that did happen on Friday, and we'll wait to hear from them hopefully sometime this week.
All right, salary ordinance adjustment, Skylar?
As mentioned in our executive session, we did review the salary of an employee that we set their salary. They're our CDBG coordinator, Miss Sherry Wilson. I would like to, I guess, see if we can get a motion to adjust her salary as we discussed in the meeting previously in our executive session. That would be okay.
So moved.
Second that motion?
There's a motion and a second that we adjust the salary ordinance to accommodate Sherry
Wilson.
Sherry Wilson, as previously discussed in our executive session.
So we don't get too much in trouble on that, can we specifically identify exactly what the total dollar amount is that you're looking to adjust it by, or some kind of an approximation?
So maybe I can amend my motion to that we would increase this to what the total dollar amount. We'll increase the salary by $10,000 per year. Those are CBDG dollars that we are reimbursed. We pay out during the year, and then they're reimbursed at the end of the year. And it also is retroactive back to January 1 or January 1st pay period.
And that it also reflects as we discussed in the executive session, a satisfactory job or performance appraisal at this point.
Correct. Thank you.
I amend my second.
Okay, whatever he said. Is the motion on the floor? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. St. Patrick's Day Parade request, Mr. Stimley?
Johnny Stimley, 3205 Tilden Ave. We're doing the Michigan City St. Patrick's Day Parade once again on March 7th, and this year we're going to do something a little bit different. We're requesting to use the land the Redevelopment Commission owns on 7th and Franklin there, the lot, probably about a quarter of it to possibly do a little beer garden this year, where all the proceeds will go towards the Irish Garden at Friendship Gardens, and the hours we're looking at is between noon and 3 that day.
Which lot, Johnny?
It'd be the one closer to the 7-Eleven building there.
The south lot?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any questions or discussion?
Have you already gotten approval from the Board of Public Works?
No, I came here first, then I was going to go over to the Board of Works and do that, then do the insurance and everything.
Okay.
Alan, I advised him of that. It's always a chicken or egg, right? So.
If you do want to approve this, you have to do a contingent upon Board of Public Works approval as well, so.
Motion to approve contingent on the Board of Works approval.
Second.
Right, there's a motion and a second that we allow the St. Patrick's Day Parade to use our south lot on the corner of southwest corner of Franklin and 7th Street for a beer garden, subject to approval of the Board of Works. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A report by legal counsel.
A couple of things that I forwarded you before this meeting. The first was in April of 2018, the Redevelopment Commission purchased property located at 621 Franklin Street from Bob Lake, or Steger Hardware. As part of that purchase agreement, that would be for those of you, we're looking at the vacant lot that's on across the street from what Johnny was just talking about. There's a vacant lot there. Part of that agreement was included an MOU with Bob that allowed us to do certain things, one of which was pay up to a maximum of $32,000 for the roof on the structure on 621 Franklin Street. That was part of the agreement. We agreed to do it. That agreement was approved as part of the purchase for that building. Mr. Lake has now come to me on a couple of different occasions and has indicated that he's ready to proceed with that because the roof is leaking. And so, given that we have a new commission, even though we've agreed to assist him in repairing that roof, he provided to me, which I forwarded to you, an estimate from January of 2018 for the total amount of $30,115 for repair to that roof. And I think what we're looking for tonight is basically an approval to Mr. Lake to go forth with that, and then ultimately, when that is completed, that he will then submit a claim to us and we would provide reimbursement to him in an amount not to exceed $32,000, but hopefully more in line with the $30,000 figure that he's submitted.
Okay, any comments or discussion, questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So I guess we'd move to give our attorney the ability to work with Mr. Lake on the finalizing of the dollars for the roof repair.
I second that.
Motion second that we allow our attorney to proceed with the funding of the roof for Mr. Lake's property on 7th and Franklin. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Second thing, just for a matter of record, is the fact the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission did meet in executive session prior to this meeting. No issues were no items were discussed in violation of the open door law, and no decisions were made. The third thing is I also sent to you late last month a proposal from August Mack for the cleanup of the Trail Creek property that was the subject of the still ongoing lawsuit that we have for the various contaminators, principal contaminators for that property. For the Bagley cleaners, we did reach a settlement with them for $1.8 million, which we have already received. Their proposal is for $1.1 million to begin the monitoring. Probably will be a 2-year project, and that's a give or take, ultimately getting to the point of getting IDEM approval so that we can begin working on developing that project. And the proposal, of course, details exactly what they're doing in terms of the injections and monitoring and ultimate cleanup to make that a valuable piece of property again. So what I'm looking for tonight is to approve that proposal so they can begin working on that.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Do you want to form that in a motion for us?
If the commission would entertain a motion to approve the proposal contained in correspondence under the date of January 22nd, 2020 for the cleanup of the Trail Creek properties as those areas delineated by the former Bagley Concord cleaners as where they were the principal polluters.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right, there's a motion and a second as presented by our attorney. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And one last thing, with regards to the Trail Creek litigation, there is a hearing on March the 5th that I will be representing the commission on, along with our consultants, with regards to another property owner or another polluter on that property that contributed to the pollution of that property. We have a default judgment at this point in an unknown dollar amount. And we will, the purpose of that hearing is to see exactly what that dollar amount will be and what kind of, well, I should say the purpose of that hearing is hopefully somebody shows up from this other polluter, and that based on, and they are represented by attorney now, so I think we will have somebody there, but we can begin the discussions in terms of either proceeding with that through litigation or getting some other contribution, some kind of settlement for financial contributions to clean up the rest of that property. So, and that's it.
All right, any other questions of our attorney? Report by director.
One thing I need to get approved tonight, every year we do a report to the state, to the DLGF. I've been working with Yvonne Hoffmeister on this. I've forwarded basically Baker Tilly puts all this financial report together for us, for the city and us. It's due April 15th is the deadline to get it in, so we want to start this now because it does require a lot of gathering of information. Alan has the contract now from Baker Tilly. They've already started emailing me to start collecting information. So tonight I'm just trying to get it approved, pending his final review, because eventually I need to get it on the Board of Works for Monday to be approved at a city level to go forward with the report.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion on approval of the contract with Baker Tilly?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve the contract with Baker Tilly for our
DLGF report.
DLGF report, subject to approval by our attorney. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have no other business tonight, and maybe I do. I have no other business tonight. Thank you.
Okay. All right, public comment? Commissioners' comments?
None this evening from me.
All right. I'd like to suggest that we have a workshop on TIF. Since we've got a bunch of new members, we got a new council, a new administration, I think it'd be beneficial if we put something like that together and just inform everyone, and we could have Baker Tilly or Randy Rimpala, our attorney, to do that. So if that's okay with everyone, we'll go ahead and proceed and have you put that together.
I've already kind of spoke with them preliminarily about that,
Okay.
and it's already in the works. I just needed it to be brought up and made mention of. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the commissioners?
Would one question, that would be a joint workshop?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second. We adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.